Welcome to another episode of Breaking Into Cybersecurity. Today we have Motti Tal, who's joining us from Tel Aviv to share his experience in breaking into cybersecurity and the wise knowledge that he's gained over the years. So with no further ado, Motti, why don't you tell our audience about yourself?
Definitely. Thanks for the opportunity to do that. And it's good to be on your show. As you said, I'm calling in from Tel Aviv, which is where my career started, actually in Tel Aviv University. I did my computer science degree many years ago there. At that time, I believe inspired by dad's work on mainframes to create computer programs that mapped landslide susceptibility in times before home computers and before like just mainframes in the universities. He was at a high state. And his work on creating computer programs with satellite imagery to do that inspired me to go into computer science, not really knowing what I'm going to do. I ended up in the Navy, creating software for the Navy for several years in the Israeli Navy. And then went on to build software for banks, software architecture, software delivery. And then around 96, I think it was the first time an opportunity presented itself for me to join a cyber company. As you probably know, the Israeli.
Well, before we jump into your
Yeah.
cyber journey, let's in regards to your earlier career,
Yeah.
what got you interested into tech and what were some of the skills and capabilities that you learned along the way that were just foundational to your career?
First, I think, as I said, that I was initially inspired by what computers or programming or software could do. As a kid, I think that sort of wowed me. And my initial travel through the world of tech took me to those places where you dream up some functionality and then go ahead and have the system do that at your command, so to speak. You go from algorithm, from thought to something that actually works. There's a builder satisfaction. I guess not unlike the furniture I also make in life, just as a hobby. You envision something and then you create it. And with software, it's such a playground. And for the first years, I enjoyed it a lot. And so I guess the first skill was articulating ideas in a logical fashion, thinking about algorithmic processes, and then instructing software to do that good quality and as you intended, with lots of frustration when it doesn't do what you told it to do because you told it wrongly.
So a
Realization.
side question,
Yeah.
a side question there. You learn the hard way by doing, failing, retrying. Much of the generation today, they're going to be enabled or empowered in some way by AI. Do you see that as a fundamental risk to society because they won't be able to think critically to solve these problems and will rely on AI systems to?
I think my long-term view, a little bit beyond the horizon I can see right now, if I needed to guess, is exactly what you said. I think there is a big risk. I think currently AI is empowering at this point in time. Most of what it actually does, and I'm pretty close to what people do with AI in our space, in the coding and programming space, for example. AI is making huge strides and it's taking away a lot of the brunt work, but you still need the humans in the loop. And in some ways, they get to do more interesting work with AI around to help them at this
Mhm.
point. It's really a little bit hard to see beyond the horizon of the current capability sets. With current capability sets, if they remain the way they are today, and they won't, the risk is not very high. With them advancing at the pace we're seeing them advancing, possibly there'll be a huge challenge in terms of what's left for us to do and how many of us can do. What's left to do is dream up stuff and envision stuff. And you spoke about skill sets and things I acquired along the way, and also realizations I acquired along the way. Some of the realization, not everyone is a dreamer, not everyone is a visionary, not everyone can look at the reality, see what it may evolve into, and take the risk of, "Well, I'm going to build something for a future that hasn't yet arrived, or it's only an inkling of what might be." Yeah, I think AI is a greater concern in my view than a blessing, but it's here and it's evolving. And the best we can do is probably put the guardrails and watch for the future and prepare as
Hmm.
much as we can. But in those days, I taught myself compute. My dad got me my first programmable chip. It was a extendable Texas Instrument scientific computing machine, which was just assembler open for some formula creation. I was self-taught and I could connect things and make the cables cross wires between legs 2 and 3 and do a copy from one machine to another with no protocols involved. Right? I could do stuff like that back then. It's wonderful to really know how things are built from the ground up towards where you're working at some level of languages and so on. That's getting abstracted and abstracted, and you're working, programmers will be working in English soon.
So your career starts to pivot and you're moving into cybersecurity. What was the interest? What was the draw into cybersecurity from the programming that you were doing before?
Just to fill in one piece there, at some point in time before joining the cybersecurity space, I realized that the programming piece of it no longer interested me as much as before. I moved into management roles, working with customers. I moved into even the marketing and selling side of things. You sell the software, the vision of something that doesn't exist, your capability to deliver it. And I really enjoyed the human side of things, the management side of things, the creative power you have when you're in charge of a project and not just writing a piece of code inside of it. And that the time in front of the terminal wasn't as much fun as before. And the time with people was what I enjoyed most. And so when I joined cyber, I was invited to the party, not knowing I want to be there. The Israeli market is still, even though it's grown tremendously over the years since it was much smaller, still everyone knows everyone. And someone introduced me, a close friend introduced me to a CEO of a cyber company that had just gone public. And he wanted to expand by way of acquisitions. And he said, I need a thinking mind that can moderate the process for us. And why don't you join us to lead our M&A efforts? I told him, listen, I don't even have a business. I don't even have an MBA. I don't even know what an M&A.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh, he said, I need a strategist. I need someone who can understand the big picture, who can be informed by other people's knowledge about the space. I have everything I need in that regard. I know what kind of technologies are out there. My team knows what the customers need, but putting all that into a process that ends up with a successful acquisition, which is hard to, which was really difficult to do, is something I've been told you can probably help us with. And so that's why I jumped, not really knowing what I was stepping into. But because I had to very quickly gain the big picture view of things, I stepped in trying to grasp pretty broad picture of cyber, not
Mhm.
coming at it from the specialty angle, like many of the folks here in the cyber sector in Israel come from the cyber units inside of the military. And they broke into this and that, and they know how to find the vulnerabilities in that system and like really deep stuff.
Yeah.
That wasn't my entry angle. My angle was very different. The CEO who hired me was true to his word and delivered on every piece of it. The people around me in that executive team were wonderful in giving me what I needed in order to understand the technology space we were in at the time, of the angle we were. Cyber is so many things. And even
Yes.
back then, this is 97. When I joined, I think we still call it information security. Cyber was probably a
Yep.
pretty new
Yep.
word at the time. And it was already a fragmented space with lots of different pieces to it. And my colleagues, my CTO, and our folks in the field working with customers. And I was lucky to step into a company that was focused on the enterprise and selling to some of the most demanding customers in the world that were really concerned about their IP, concerned about their networks, concerned about the money they're managing for customers if they were the largest financial institutions. And it gave me the opportunity to meet forward-looking individuals who were in charge of protecting their systems, working with them to outline what the future needs to look like, and then making acquisitions that would plug that in with capabilities that would be smarter to bring in from the good work others have done versus go off and start developing from scratch within that company.
How did you mentioned you came in and you wanted to understand it from the broad perspective or the 50,000-foot view, for someone else doing that transition and not doing the specialist route, what are the pros and cons of trying to come into the field at that high level?
I can't speak for someone who doesn't have my background. So what helped me a lot is I can imagine what it could be for someone coming at it from the business angle only. For me, coming at it from the technology angle, and like I told you, crossing over wires for the send and receive, I could both get the big picture, but then
Mhm.
we're talking about something to do with encryption or something to do with authentication of servers or any deeper element of it. And I felt it was important for me to really understand the foundational aspect of this domain. It was not easy, but it was possible for me because of the technical background, because of having figured these types of problems, algorithmic problems, or thinking about things in an algorithmic fashion. It was possible to have the conversations with the smart people who knew the domain. And again, at the time, there was nothing to look up. Yes, there were a few books you could read, and I did, but I think most of the information came from focused conversations with people where you ask a few good questions, they answer really well, and you get lucky because you're informed by some really smart individuals. And that's which is always when I speak with young people and they ask me about which company I join, and do you think the investors are great? And I tell them, put all that aside. Who are you going to work for? Who are you going to work with? Tell me some more about them. Tell me about their path, their careers. Can you learn here from a master, from someone who will teach you? So I think I was lucky to be taught well by the individuals who worked with me, who happened, by the way, to be around me today. And the fourth venture we're building together years later. So I was so lucky that I stuck with them for multiple ventures that we built together.
Let's talk about that. So you mentioned that you tell young people to find someone in the organization to look up to be their mentor, to be their teacher, to learn something from their path. Today, there's so much information available that might not have been available for you when you were transitioning. Outside of finding those great teachers, have you
Mhm.
seen the technology evolve to where students can pick up all this by themselves? Or do you feel like the requirements that hiring companies are asking for, university degrees and certifications, are
Mhm.
all still a requirement?
University certifications, I never look. Yeah, I look back. My degree was in computer science and math. It was actually math and computer science. I did some math. Now, I don't really know. Maybe math wired my brain. I can't, not that I use the formulas. I don't know the formulas anymore. I can't prove the theorems anymore. Don't
Mhm.
remember how to, but maybe, just maybe, the studies wired my brain in a certain way. And you know how it is with other things in life, speaking about it and going through it, totally different experiences, or learning about it and doing it, totally different experiences. Until you cut your finger on the saw machine as a carpenter, you don't know the danger of a saw. And you're speaking to an injured someone who made the mistake. So I believe in making mistakes yourself. You need an environment that enables it. So there's only so much you're going to learn in a course. There's only so much you're going to experience building the stuff yourself. When you join a company, and even if you continue on your self education, the environment, your manager, for example, will be someone who understands your capability to learn, the kind of projects they give you, the kind of independence they give you, the degree of independence and autonomy you get in your project. All that stuff matters so much to the way your career evolves. So I think we're still working with people wherever we are. Even if you're a
Mhm.
cyber analyst looking for vulnerabilities, mostly spending your time deep down inside the bytes and bits and protocols and looking for what the threat actors might be doing next, you're still working within a certain environment. Someone is setting your priorities and goals. Maybe the day is just around the bend when someone can start a company and do it all by themselves with AI. Maybe not yet, not here yet.
Yeah. I'm one of the things that I do this podcast is to share the wise knowledge of individuals like yourself or someone that just broke in and you're learning. And what I've found over the years is that there's no one way to do it. So picking up the tips and tricks from yourself, from others, find what works for you. Be honest, you don't go chasing the title, don't go chasing the money, and you'll do good work and end up in a good place. I found when you chase the title, when you chase the money, you end up burnt out, you end up losing roles, things like that.
That's definitely true. I've been in multiple journeys. I've traveled this get started, build something, grow it. I've been with ventures we never even got off the ground. We weren't able to fund. And it's the experience, the people with you on the journey that matter the most. If you do the right thing, sometimes you create wonderful software, customers are happy with it, and eventually it doesn't scale at the speed it needs to. Your competition outruns you. Does that mean you failed? You created wonderful software that served a lot of people. They protected their systems with it. They made money using it, whatever it is that the software does. Still, with any company I'm in, the most important thing for me is to see the passion in the founding team, and hopefully they can infect that, and everyone can be infected by that passion to create a change in reality, to have people adopt something pervasively that makes things better in some way, shape, or form. You don't live in a startup by looking at the potential value of your options every minute of the day. You live in a startup fighting challenges every minute of the day. The software that doesn't work the way it was supposed to, the customer who didn't eventually buy because they weren't impressed that you could deliver, whatever it is. There's lots of wins, many difficulties, and it's really passion that drives things forward.
That sounds like some great tips for potential founders looking to follow in your footsteps. But let's transition into the current day and some of the current challenges that you're facing. What are some of the current challenges that you're facing, and how can we prepare the next generation for that?
So I think it touches a little bit about the questions you started asking about AI. First, I'll just say what my perspective is today. So my
Hmm.
perspective on cyber today is impacted greatly by what I'm doing. And at Memsico, the company I'm chief strategy officer for, we're out to change the way digital impersonation is being handled in the market today. And we looked at what organizations are doing to keep bad threat actors from impersonating them, and by impersonating them, not just cause damage to the business, but actually steal money from their customers and trick their customers into situations where the customers' accounts are taken over or employee accounts are taken over and breaches occur. So a lot of money is lost. Beyond the money side of it, there's something about this specific venture. I don't know about you, but I know people who've been scammed, and I know
Hmm.
people dear to me that I'm afraid will be scammed because it's so easy to scam people. And it's becoming easier to scam people with AI. It's even worse today. You can mimic someone's voice on a call and you trust that person because you think it's someone based on their voice. The techniques are evolving. And at Memsico, we decided to tackle the problem in a very different way than anyone before us. Today, if you look at impersonation, people try to look for their impersonating assets, like a website, an
Hmm.
impersonating website, and take them down because so long as they exist, they can be used to lure. At Mexico, we decided that it's not enough. By the time website has been taken down, 10, 20, 100, 1,000 of your customers already visited the fake site, given away their credentials, and their accounts are now being compromised as we speak. And you don't even know, as the bank or airline or whoever is trying to protect their customers, you get notified by your customers that they were scammed. You don't know about it until they tell you. And with regulators now asking you to reimburse, it's not just the effort you put into analyzing these issues and incidents, you're asked to reimburse for the for damage, which as a consumer, I love because should I be a cyber expert? Should grandmas be cyber experts to protect themselves? You need to read your bank's literature on what you need to do to stay safe online. And it's okay. I need a course. I need to be an expert here to protect myself.
Yes, it's harder for the older generations to catch up with what they need to do. but it is still possible. I think falling for the grandson in jail because they mimic the voice, those types of phishing is horrible. And like you said, it's becoming easier. You can even make videos now with the same, with the audio attached to make it worse for when you're targeting someone. But that's on the personal side. On the business side, if you're looking at it from protecting your assets, it becomes even harder. I think from the business perspective, it becomes harder for them because not only they have to protect themselves against impersonation, they have to protect their employees against impersonation, they have to protect their customers against impersonation, and even if they outsourced a capability of, say, doing payments with another vendor, it's still their risk if their customers get scammed because, oh, it was a redirect from your website that sent me to that the same payment website that you normally send me to, but now it's going to a different account.
Correct. And so what we decided to do, as you say, it is a growing problem, and it's definitely a growing problem for businesses. And we decided to take a proactive approach and create technology that preempts the ATO attacks. So we do something which is much, I liken it to infiltrating a crime ring. We put technology out there that works by infiltrating the assets that are used for the attacks and being present at the time of the attack, at the point of impact, to inform the organization that their customer is falling for a scam at this point in time. We even have protective measures such as decoy credentials and so on, so that we can even proactively thwart the attack. But even if what the organization chooses to do is do account resets at that point in time or block account usage for a period of time until the issue is investigated, whatever it is they choose to do, they can fend off at ATOs in ways they couldn't before. And our customers are saying, this is what I've talked about, pride in the work we do. So if you got to speak with a customer and they say 50% of our ATOs are gone, that's it. We're down 50% on ATO incidents. And the rest, you helped us diagnose with clear information that we didn't have before, had no visibility for before. And it feels too good to be protecting our customers in a way which we couldn't do before. In the cyber or fraud department in any institution, bank or insurance company, likes getting those customer calls saying, oh, someone just took 50,000 from my account. What do I do? It's frustrating. It's painful. Always in cyber, it was a continuous game where one side, protecting side, puts up the defenses, new kinds, and the attacking side evolves and evolves, and you need to evolve together, right? Attacker, defender, we're continuously
Hmm.
evolving. It's one of the reasons why it's a really interesting space for
Hmm.
everyone involved, for the technology people getting involved in the different technologies needed to defend, for the marketing people who need to tell the stories around this, for everyone involved, right? It's really an interesting space. It really requires, you cannot rest for a minute in that space. And the pace has picked up and it's now exponentially picking up with AI. So what I'm saying is that the space of evolution of attack types, attack profiles, scale of attack is changing. And it puts an even stronger requirement on us defenders and the people creating the technology supposed to defend against the attacks. It's making our jobs, we need to jump higher, we need to run faster, we need to be on guard all the time, to be very much aware of everything that's developing, to be connected in the ways we all need to be connected to what's happening on the dark side. So we know what techniques they're using and be highly innovative. We talk about using AI to fight AI. It's nice, it's useful, but that's another example where it's the humans in the loop who are really
Hmm.
coming up with information. Right now, I can't say about anything that we're doing. Yes, AI helps us do stuff, but the innovative stuff that we have brought out and are bringing out is coming from the minds of humans, intelligent ones, who know
So,
cyber really well.
yes. And let me take a question back to your transition into cyber. How do you see folks that are interested in taking the broad approach to come in today deal with the challenge that the industry is ever evolving so quickly that you really can never master anything across the breadth, but you can have more specialties and create new specialties because the technology is changing so quickly. So you can create a new niche for yourself to help solve a problem that the organization might not have thought of.
So first of all, I mean, there are some high level choices we as individuals make on our career paths or on the next step in our career. Am I more of a specialist, or do I want to be more of a high level general kind of, I want to really know something inside and out to the bits and bytes of it? Or so those are still some relevant questions to ask oneself. Okay. So if you're a technical person who's thinking of going into cyber, knowing that what you love is the details, is mastering something fully, then any number of developments in AI right now, whether it's data access, whether it's MCP protocol, whatever it is, pick a subject. You can specialize in a subject like that, and you're sure that if you want to play in cyber in that domain, there's much you're going to be able to do with that knowledge. And the good old teach yourself, study from others, and be specialized. Obviously, using AI, become really good at using AI. And it's something we need to learn. It's not everyone using AI comes out with the same kinds of deliverables because there's a way to use these technologies, and even
Mhm.
that way evolving. So yeah, so if you chose to be a specialist, I think there are, obviously it's the smart thing is to go into where things are evolving and not dying out. And again, some general comments, there are old world things that are now very stable. Yes, still vulnerable, still require people and their knowledge. There's still people going into COBOL today as a programming language. Yes, it still exists. Is this where the growth is? Probably not. Do I think someone going into COBOL today is making a mistake? If that's what's right for their personality, character, and they think that they want to be one of the last people making $1 million doing COBOL because there's no one around still doing it, and the AI isn't good yet enough for COBOL, fine. Same with outdated protocols or outdated security layers. And then what's your appetite for risk? If you want to go for risk, quantum isn't really here yet. Do you want to do quantum? It's a
Mhm.
space, definitely evolving, lots of money going into it. I'm sure interesting. I'm not by any means an expert on it or even know much about it. I've just read a little bit. But it's definitely one of those evolving spaces where it's really going to be interesting, but maybe only 10 years out, not five, maybe 15 years out, and not five. That's also what kind of horizon are you looking
Yeah.
at?
Yeah.
And then if you are a generalist, in some ways it's easier. It's easier to get informed. It's easier to quickly catch up on topics and subjects. But then what value add can you bring on top of it that goes beyond just analyzing, summarizing, and doing a few pros and cons, which AI does well for us today? And that goes back to conversations with people, choosing which ones to speak with, because the general knowledge contained in the AI models is not going to be the source that will inform you of the next innovation. You won't
Yeah,
find
I
it.
agree.
What should we be focusing on for our next evolution of the
Well,
product? Or, right?
yeah, when you think about how the technology like that is formed, it's formed on the training data and analysis of data that's maybe 5 years old, 4 years old. Some of the newer models are 1 year old, but that's still late when you think about how things have evolved since the data has been trained. And yes, it can help you connect some trends together, but like you said, you still have to be the innovative one. We're at the end of our show. So, any final tips that you would like to give to someone following in your footsteps, and how can folks reach out to you?
I think my last tip would be about in Yiddish, they call it mensch, being a good hearted person. I think so long as we work with people, do the right thing in your career. Be good with the people you work with. If you're a manager and it's about sharing the wealth and it's about making sure everyone gets a piece in the business, and it's about giving people a chance to improve when they need to improve, and it's about leaving a job but doing your utmost best to help the people coming after you be successful at their job, by handing off the job perfectly well, and all those things. I think it's really important. Over a several decade career, I can tell you that part of the asset is the people. It's the people who've worked with us, the people who we've been able to help, the people who've helped us, and it's an ecosystem and it's an organism. We're not individuals. We're a network of individuals working together like one big organism. I really believe this is an important aspect to share with people.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much for joining the show, Moti, and sharing your wise experience. Folks, we'll have
Gladly.
links that he shares in the show notes descriptions, and looking to join you all next time on the next episode of Breaking Into Cybersecurity.
Thank you. Bye.